Hey. Holy.
Hello, can you hear me? Not yet. I'm not on yet, I don't think.
Not
Hello,
yet.
hello? Let's wait a minute. Hello? No.
Hello. Can you hear us?
No.
Not yet.
Oh, maybe we're not turned on.
Oh, are we supposed to turn on our mics? Wait. Can you hear me?
Oh, it's not on. We don't need to touch
Okay,
it.
just wait. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Everyone's yelling.
We're
at
rushing
everybody.
everybody.
Don't touch anything.
Don't let the writers touch anything technological. Now? Oh, there I am.
we go. Hola.
Okay.
Let's round of applause for the text.
Yes, thank you. I'm Angie Abdou, born and raised Moose Jaw writer, back visiting from where I live in Fernie, but I still call Moose Jaw home, and I'm always happy to come back to the festival. It's been a few years, and I'm especially happy to be here interviewing Richard Van Camp, who is amazing. He has published more books than seems humanly possible. I think in every positive genre, including some that you haven't thought of. He published a baby book, like one of those hard baby book books. He's published everything from that up. And I had the pleasure of working with him at my day job. I'm a professor at Athabasca University, and we got to have Richard as the writer in residence a few years ago. And I can tell you he's the hardest working writer in the industry. He smashed every record we have for student engagement and for working with aspiring writers. And I don't think they were all AU students. I think he was dragging people in off the streets, just anyone he could find to come to his talks and to talk about writing. And he helps everyone he sees. Incredibly generous with his time and energy. He's a fantastic writer and a fantastic human being, and I could talk about his awards all day long. I will just say he's going to have to tell us more about this because I don't know film awards, but the films have been winning awards, including a Leo, did you say? A Leo, so he will tell us 3 Leos. But I today just want to focus on telling you that he's a really great guy on top of all of that. So please welcome Richard.
Oh, Angie, thank you. Look at all these questions. I'm in the hot seat.
Yeah, but I was taking notes during the film in the dark, and I can't read any of those.
Oh, you can't? Okay.
Luckily, I have a good memory. So these aren't your first books to hit film. You had a feature film based on The Lesser Blessed. That was the first one.
Yep.
Can you tell us about that process? Just everything right from finding out a film was going to be made to working on the transition from book to film, and then to sitting in a theater and seeing it on the screen?
Sure. Well,
Yeah.
can we just talk about Angie Abdou for a second? So Angie Abdou, so nobody tells anybody anything in this family. I didn't know we were doing this after.
Surprise!
I thought I would roll on the stage with a mic and just be like, hey everyone, welcome to the show, and have a lot of fun and tell you the gossip about Three Feathers. And can I just tell you one thing about Three Feathers before we get into this? So, first of all, thank you for joining us this evening. This is a dream come true. I mean, what a gorgeous theater. I haven't been in Moose Jaw in probably 20 years. It's lovely to be back. Congratulations to the festival and to the organizers. This is absolutely beautiful. I know that the participants have had a full day. I mean, they were with me for 3 hours this morning. Then they were with, was it you this afternoon for 3 hours? And then you came here and everyone's emotionally exhausted. But I'll tell you a quick miracle story. So, Three Feathers cost $500,000, and it's based on my graphic novel with Neva Mateus about restorative justice.
$500,000?
No, $500,000.
$500,000.
Yeah, $500,000. I wish we had millions of dollars, but look what we did with $500,000.
Yeah.
So there's 2 big miracles that happened for what you just witnessed tonight. So in Fort Smith, Northwest Territories, my hometown, there's a millionaire, and her name is Anne Lapini, and she won $11 million. And then she won another $4 million. Then she won 80,000 US at the slots. And she knows she's going to win millions more. And she used to babysit me when I was 13 months old. And so what I want you to know is that everything always takes longer when you want to do it right. So when the graphic novel Three Feathers came out with Tidewater Press, I was in Hay River and I was meeting with Brendan Callback, who's a big mover, shaker, motivator in the South Slave region. He single-handedly helped publish over 200 books in our indigenous languages. And he literally hands me the book, like it's just out of the box. You can smell the ink. And he goes, I know. Why don't we turn this into a movie? And I was like, yeah, we could do that. And he goes, but let's shoot it in all of our indigenous languages so that every scene has to be shot in Bush Cree, and then Chipewyan, and then South Slavey, and then English. And one of your main characters in here is deaf. So we need to find somebody who can sign who's deaf. And I'm like, well, Connie Moses' boy, Dwight, is deaf. He goes, so we'll get Dwight. Let's get Larry, who's starring in The Lesser Bust. We got David Burke, who was in The Revenant. And, oh my God, we get Henry Beaver. I mean, he's the former chief of the Saw River First Nations. He's always wanted to be an actor. And his wife, Eileen, I mean, she translates your books. So didn't she used to babysit you when you were 13 months too? I said, yeah. He goes, done. Let's do it. We're doing it. We're going to need some money. Maybe the next 3 years of our lives. What we didn't know is that it would take the next 5 years of our lives, because it always takes longer, especially with culture, protocol, languages. So Three Feathers is the only movie in the world, in the history of mammals, that was shot in 4 different languages. So when you see the DVD set, there's 4 DVDs. You can watch the movie entirely in Chipewyan or Dene or Bush Cree or South Slavey and English. So it's on APTN, and this month they're showing the Bush Cree version with English subtitles. So the first miracle was Brent came to me and he said, listen, we're going to need $500,000, I can tell right now. Didn't you say that Anne Lapini used to babysit you? I'm like, yeah. He goes, why don't you go talk to her? And I was like, everybody goes to Anne, and they got their hands out. I don't feel. And he goes, look, she used to babysit you. Does that make you, in the Indigenous way, your nephew? Like, aren't you nephew, auntie? Just go and just try, right? Remember, we have a saying in Fort Smith, and it's God hates a coward. He actually may have used that line, God hates a coward on camp. Go get us some money. So I was like, God. So I go through the yellow pages and the white pages, and I call Anne Lapini. And I'd never been in her house. I heard so many things about her beautiful home. And she has a whole bowling alley in her basement.
Oh, wow.
A whole thing. Like, it's all to the measurements, and CMT, Country Music Television, is on all 8 of her flat screens in the basement. I'd always heard that, and it's true. So I'd never been in her house before, and I call her. I'm like, hi, Ann, it's Richard Van Camp. I'm in town for a couple days. Can I come by and see you tomorrow? And she goes, yeah, come by at 10. I'll be home. Come by at 10. I'm like, okay. So I go to the rich part of town, like where the dentist lives, where the land claims negotiators live. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like creme de la creme, the 1% to the 1%. So I go and I knock on her door. She goes, come on in, come in. And I open, and I remember it was something out of Dallas. Like J.R. Ewing lives in a house like this. I was just like, oh my God, hi. And so I've got my big Nike high tops on, and because I'm classy, right? And I walk in, and she's got the machine you see at Starbucks. She's like, she goes, hey, you want latte, Americano? What do you want? You want a tall white? What do you want?
Fancy.
I was like, just a coffee, double. She goes, great. Do you want almond milk? Do you want soy? What do you want? 10%, 2% whole milk? What do you want? I got it all. Right? And I'm like, just a coffee, medium blend, I guess. If you got Timmy's, that's great. Double. Okay, we'll work it out. And I'm just undoing my big Nike high top, and she goes, listen, my mushroom and my cookum came to me in a dream last night, so that's Cree for grandma and grandpa. So she says, my mushroom and my cookum came to me in a dream last night and said you're going to ask me for money. And so there's a check for $100,000 on the counter. So anyways, I don't have Timmy's, but I think you're going to be really happy. And I remember I was literally like this. I was like, I'm sorry, what? And she's like, no, it's a check for $100,000. It's blank, so you just fill it out, whatever you need. And remember in Lord of the Rings, Gandalf, when they offer him the ring, he's like, don't give me that kind of power. You know what I mean? Like, don't give me a blank check for $100,000. I'll just go buy more Star Wars stuff. You know what I mean? But that was the first miracle.
It's amazing.
So we
just wait, I want to tell everybody, I know Richard, so I wrote down all these questions, but then I thought I should just bring a piece of paper that says, hi, Richard, and then I'll just say, okay, carry on.
Okay. Well,
next miracle.
You know I'm a big
Miracle
gossip,
2.
right? You know I'm a big gossip. We only got half an hour. So here's the second miracle. So on Facebook, I was saying, hey, Fort Smith, we're going to be casting for Three Feathers, and I was laying everything out. And Tantu Cardinal got in touch with me, and she goes, Richard, here's what's going to happen. You're going to invite me to be a star in Three Feathers, and my agent is going to get in touch with you. He's going to ask for a lot of money. You're going to pay it. I'm going to come up to your community, and I'm going to be up there for 1 day. You're going to feed me really good. And I'm going to do a cameo, and this is going to help you with your movie with fundraising, and you can use my name. When I get back home, I'm going to add up only what it costs for me to get there, plus my meals and taxis, and I'm going to send all of it back to Help Invest. And that's exactly what she did. So if it wasn't for Tantu Cardinal and Anne Lapini, this movie never would have happened. And Brent Callback, so let's give them a round of applause. Yeah. Yeah.
And then you said, since we're talking about money, you said the first film was far more expensive than the second
Well,
one.
so Three Feathers was a 5-year commitment, so that was $500,000 in our community, Fort Smith. We only hired local except for Tantu. I'm really proud of that. And then the other movie, Inco for When the Starving Return, that was $1.2 million. And from the first email when Amanda Strong got in touch and said, I just finished reading your short story, We To Go War, can I adapt it into a short? And we didn't know that it would take 8 years from that first. Eight. So I'm going to say that again, $1.2 million for 18 minutes of film.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an 8-year commitment. And so from the first email to premiering at TIFF last year was 8 years. But please know something about stop motion. They will shoot 10-hour days for 3 seconds of film. I lasted 3 seconds on set. I'm like, I gotta get out. You gotta be kidding me. There was one guy, he was combing yak hair. Because I've been combing this for 4 days. Oh, it's just about ready. I said, I gotta get out of here. I don't even understand what's happening. You guys are Smurfs. This is like.
You weren't very involved in that.
I don't have an attention span. What could I do? I mean, what do you do? Continents drift faster than anything gets done, but they're just, you know what I mean?
It's very frightening. They did a good job with it. It's
scary.
They
did beautiful, yeah. It's terrifying.
Terrifying. With Three Feathers, all Indigenous cast, all Indigenous crew, all Indigenous.
Well, I don't know if so Fort Smith, so please know about our community, Fort Smith, is we're officially quadrilingual. So Chipewyan, Cree, French, and English are spoken at any given time. So when we grew up, we just thought that was the way of the world. You just thought you thought everybody had best friends that were Cree and Chipewyan and Inuit and Métis and Slavey, Gwich'in, Mountain Hare, Dog Rib. You just thought that was the way of the world. And you go to West Edmonton Mall, and somebody that you meet says the most racist thing about Indigenous people, because I'm white passing, I don't look Indigenous, right? And you can't believe that. What do you mean? Like, how could you say that about people you don't know, you know? So I'm really proud to have, shown the beauty of Fort Smith. And wasn't the photography beautiful in Three Feathers? So that's Craig Kovach. And the beauty of filmmaking is collaboration is a dance of trust, as you know. And when you give somebody a chance to do their best and bring their best, that's really when the magic happens, because that only inspires everybody else to bring their A game. So Craig Kovach lives in Hay River. Even in high school, he was always shooting, the dances and doing stuff with the local TV station. His favorite movie of all time is Close Encounters of the Third Kind, because every frame of that movie is a perfect painting. And he made a promise. He said, if anybody ever asks me to be their director of photography, I'm going to give them my best. And he was the first one to show up on set, and he was the last one to leave every single day. So the big question is, how do you show 9 months on the land in a 50-minute movie? So he used his own personal B-roll, his own personal footage of winter, fall, spring, and all the seasons. Yeah. So that's the beauty of Craig Kovach. And I remember the first time I saw it in Hay River at the movie theater there, the first opening scene, you're like, is this going to be another sad Indian movie? Do you know what I mean? And then when you get the panoramic of the Slave River, that's when you go, okay, and then title up. That's when you know you're being welcomed into the majesty of the South Slave region.
You're going to make me cry again. I found that movie really emotional, partly because of the beauty of it. Like, I was thinking when I was watching at first, for When the Starving Return seems more suited to graphic portrayal because of the magic realism, but then I was thinking the Three Feathers, even it's a realist style, but it still has this magic about it because of the way he photographs. Thank you. The land, it's so beautiful. Like it's almost even the Northern Lights.
The Northern
What's
Lights,
the line about the Northern Lights?
Which one?
She says when she's looking up, she said, I'm not going to remember. There's some, do you have a belief, a DNA belief about the Northern Lights?
Well, okay, so we were taught when we were little how to call the Northern Lights. We were really lucky because here's the gossip, okay? And I want to be respectful because I'm from Treaty 8 country and I live in Treaty 6, so I haven't been to this territory. So there's different beliefs about the Northern Lights, but when we were little, we were actually taught how to call them.
And it
Do
works.
you want to know how?
Yes.
Okay, so if you get in trouble, you're on your own. Don't say it was me. So we were taught when we were little that the Northern Lights are actually the third best place in the world to see the Northern Lights. And here's the insider scoop on that. If you always say you're the third, no one ever questions you. You can say I'm the third best kisser in town, hey? And there's gonna be a little lineup, hey? There's gonna be a little line of taker. Next time you're on the Kimooch, that's Cree for on the sneak. Next time you're single and ready to mingle, let that one go.
Third best.
Anyways,
Tips.
so what we were taught when we were little is that usually in August, September, October, that's when the little baby Northern Lights are learning how to swim, and the grandpa and grandma Northern Lights are waiting for them on the other side of the sky. So what we do to honor those people, in Tlicho you say naka for Northern Lights. How you honor them is you whistle. So when we were little, we would whistle and give them strength because we were cheering them on. And if you can't whistle, maybe you got little tight lips or you got chapped lips or something, what you can do is this.
Mine don't make that same sound, do they?
That cheers them on. Or you can use your zippers. So gentlemen above the waist, please. And then you're just cheering for them. You're really honoring them, or you're giving them strength, right? And then what they'll do is they'll go to their grandma and their grandpa, and then they're happy. But if they're curious, so if they ever come down and they get too close, Northern Lights have a really strong smell. So they smell like burnt hair or dead fish. So if you ever smell Northern Lights and they're getting too, because they're very curious, if they ever get too close, you take your thumbnails and you go like this.
Oh, I'd run away too.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
awful.
very sorry.
Okay.
Or you can take an old dog chain. They don't like dog chains. You go,
Yeah. They don't like that.
yeah, or you clap once, and then that'll send them back up into the sky. So we were taught that when we were really little. But as we got older, we started to hear that certain people, they say, don't whistle at the Northern Lights, don't point at the Northern Lights. My friend Carlson Vicente, he's Apache. He said, when you see the Northern Lights, where he's from, that means someone you love is getting ready to cross over. So it means different things to different people.
That's so interesting. Is it a real thing that boys or people are sentenced to do time on the land to recover from?
Well, the restorative justice movement is growing in the Northwest Territories. And so this is all true, everything that happened. And we did have 3 young men breaking into all of our houses. And guns started going missing. Our neighbor, Parnell Levesque, his gun went missing. And when guns started going missing, that's when we knew, this was 30 years ago, that people were coming into our house when we weren't home. And at first they were only taking little things like the Super Mario Kart for the DS, or the red shirt my mom got me for Christmas. I was getting ready to hit the dance floor at the Moccasin Square Gardens and for New Year's. I couldn't find my red shirt. I was just mad. I just got mad. You know what I mean?
Mad, yes, I do.
And they cleared out our swear jar. We were supposed to go to Disneyland. Never got to go to Disneyland. And they just took little things at first, and they just kept coming and coming. And then they did surprise an elder, and they got into a horrible fight, only because they surprised each other. And they ran away when the gentleman had a heart attack and a stroke. And the way he fell, he was on, my understanding is he was face down on a linoleum floor for 3 hours before his daughter found him. And he has Bell's palsy, so he'll always be in a wheelchair. And he was a big hunter. He hunted for a lot of families. And so it wasn't just a crime against one. It was really a crime against a family and a community. And in the Northwest Territories, we're really good at sending our young people down south to youth detention facilities. And when they came back, I remember just getting really upset, thinking, where's the restorative justice? And I was sharing with the class this morning that I think as writers, the 2 most powerful words we have are what if. What if? And I thought, well, wait a minute. What if instead of sending them to the city, what if we sent them on the land with the right counselors and the right teachers, and we trusted them with responsibility? And what if after 9 months they threw a forgiveness feast at the Friendship Center where my mom worked, Uncle Gabe's Friendship Center, and what if they cooked for the people and just said, we have no money, but winter's coming, so what if we shoveled your walks, and what if we cut wood for you and filled your wood box and cut kindling, and you let us know when we're good. If it's 1 winter, 2 winters, 3 winters, we'll work for you. And then I saw the ultimate scene, which was Gabe, would you please adopt us as your sons?
You saw that
Yeah, up here, yeah.
in your
That's
head.
usually,
So, yeah, that's usually where you see things.
that's where I see things, yeah.
So you softened it by having him come back to help the man after he'd had a heart attack,
Yeah.
bringing him the phone. You
That,
didn't want
that
it to be
did not happen
harsh.
in real life, but Lee Miracle, the late and great Lee Miracle, in 1991, as my mentor, as many of our mentors said, the beauty of fiction is you can find in your life what's missing and what's been stolen, and you can mend in your life what's been broken.
That's beautiful.
You can resurrect the dead in your writing. And so I really do feel for all the writers here, write that story, change the ending, write the way you wish it could have been. And that's how I wrote the graphic novel. And then Carla Ulrich, our director, she really took it to the next level with the way that she saw the movie. She's a genius.
It's so beautiful. Like I find it so believable that they changed over time, even though was quite quick in the movie. It feels like time is passing, and you see the growth with the sign language and the change in their expressions come later. And you have that fear. I had a fear that the leader of the group was the most damaged and that they would follow him. But when you see them break away from him, it's very exciting. I felt very happy. It gave me a lot of happiness, even though it's a sad story until the end. Yeah, it's so well handled. So how much you wrote part of the screenplay? You worked with the screenwriters.
Well, for Inco for When the Starving Returned, I helped co-write the screenplay with Amanda Strong and her partner Bracken Hanoos.
I got the two mixed up.
Yeah,
and
no,
this
that's fine.
one you handed the screenplay over for Three Feathers.
They kept me around. People kind of keep me around. They tolerate me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And but that scene where the fishing scene is based on a true story. So we had a Sundance outside of our community. There was a medicine man named Wambadi, which means spotted eagle in Lakota. And he saw a boss tree outside of our community. And we hosted this huge Sundance. And on the last day I was there, the prisoners who cleared the land and cut wood and hauled water for the Sundance, the guards donated their time, the buses donated the gas. The prisoners in our community really wanted to help set this up, and so the town allowed them to get out there. And on the last day, the prisoners asked if they could go up to the boss tree at the Sundance and just hug her. And I was there when that happened, and I looked away for a second, and when I looked back, all I saw were little boys hugging the tree. And it just, no word of a lie, even as I talk about it, I saw it, and then I shared that with Carla. I said, did you get a chance? And I said, I swear I just saw them. So she used that for that particular scene when they were fishing. And I'll tell you, we shot at 37 below. And remember the scene where they're chipping through the ice? So that was 37 below. And we all know you're in Moose Jaw and Regina, right? And Fernie, 37 below feels like a dog bite to the face, right? And so where was I during that scene?
Inside by the fire.
I was making sandwiches inside. I was more. Papa Bear was taken care of. Don't you worry. Anyways, so I remember when we came out, to get the shot and get all that stuff. We had a little break, and Henry Beaver, the elder, he was the former chief of the Salt River First Nations. I've known him and Eileen Beaver my entire life, and he said, "Do you know how they used to set nets hundreds of years ago?" And I said, "No." He said, hundreds of years ago, the people, they would heat up rocks until they were red hot. And then they would take these sticks and they would roll the rocks down a hill, just like this. And the rocks would roll and they would guide the rocks onto the ice. And then the heat from those rocks would eat its way into the water. And so the man with the strongest medicine power, what they would do is they would take the net. So the net would be spruce root and willow, right? They would take the net and they would hop into the water. And the current would carry them underneath the ice, where even their worst enemies were waiting. And then they would grab that man and pull him up, and then they would hand the net to the right people so they could set the posts. And then they would roll that man in the snow. Do you know why you roll somebody in the snow when they fall through the ice? Because snow pulls moisture from the body. And then they would roll that man in hides and furs, and they would all lean on that man and to give that man heat. And I never forgot. I love stories where even your worst enemy is rooting for you. Isn't that incredible?
Yes.
Yeah, he told us that at 37 below.
How many stories do you know? You can't answer them all. No, don't answer that.
Yeah, we'll be here all night.
What does she mean when she says the three boys are soldiers in a war I don't understand?
Well, I was sharing with the class today that I think the North is broken forever.
Oh.
And I feel that it's going to take a long time for us to get out of this because, my community is really lost right now in addictions, and we're making headlines for all the wrong reasons. And I called my auntie, Marlene Evans, my tough auntie, and I said to her, Auntie, what broke us? Because we are broken forever. We're never going to get what we used to have. Thank God we were raised before the internet, right?
Yeah.
And I said, what broke us? And she said, just like this, she said, drugs and technology. I said, well, I get the drugs, but let's talk about technology. She said, who visits anymore? Who visits anymore? Heaven help you if you show up at your friend's house and you didn't book it in advance.
Yeah.
Right? You get
even
the
call
stink.
them without.
Well, yeah, you get the stink eye, right? Everyone's busy, and so then you go and then if you're lucky, you get coffee, maybe tea. If you're extra lucky, you might get some bannock or a little piece of pie or some cobbler. But you notice now when you visit your friends, after about an hour and a half, people, they want to get back to their phones, right?
Yeah.
And she said, when I used to come by in the 70s to watch The Edge of Night. Remember Canada's first soap opera?
Yeah.
Marlene Evans, she used to walk in her bathrobe, ashtray, big cigarette, and her coffee. And she'd walk all the way down Sesame Street. She'd come, and the whole town would come to a standstill, and everybody would watch The Edge of Night and try and figure out the dynamics of it all. And she said, what did your mom say every time I'd come by? I said, well, my mom would say, oh, you boys, we have company, come listen. Come listen to how the world really works. You want to hear ghost stories, love stories, makeup stories, breakup stories, the haunted wood stove of Fort Smith. Like, it's all here at the supper table.
I'm trying to imagine saying to my kids, we have company, come listen.
Okay. There was no internet. It was just us. So she said,
it's great.
Now, but we would also talk to the kids about, these are the children hunters in town. These are the men that are after kids. You need to stay away, right? So now, when you go, where are the kids? They're
On
in their
phones.
room, they're in the basement with the door closed,
They're doing
right?
this, yeah.
So they're not hearing who are the human traffickers, who are the drug dealers, who are the bootleggers, right? Who are the pedophiles, who are the wife beaters. They're not getting those teachings. That's the disconnect. That's what's breaking us, Richard. And she goes, even when hunters are on the land, they take Starlink with them. So they can be on the trap line, but they're still playing solitaire on Facebook. So they're not on the land, of the land, being taught by the land, right?
And I mean, it's so convincing why that would work and how it works and how important it is.
Well, I think my message tonight is bring back the art of visiting, bring back the art of hosting, right? Doesn't it feel so good, especially after COVID? Doesn't it feel so good when you are being hosted and all you got to show up is smile and eat? Like to be cradled again by community. And I was just wanted to acknowledge David Robertson. He was in Edmonton just a while ago for the Creasel lecture, and we got to have supper with him the night before. And he said, community is the answer to everything.
Yeah.
And that's my wish for everybody here, is that we all find our communities again. The writing community, right? The community of your heart, the community of your mending and your healing.
I have two fast questions because I was told we're in big trouble if we don't get off the stage by 7:45.
Okay, here we go.
Which I think gives us 3 minutes.
Okay.
The answer in this was community, but also nature and solitude. Did nature and solitude play a big part in your life, in your healing, in your happiness?
Well, I'm a walker, and I live in Edmonton, so we live right next to the ravine. So I'm always walking. That ravine, the Mill Creek Ravine, raised our family, continues to raise our family. We're so lucky. We've got so many kids up and down the street. We really knocked it out of the park. And then I'm the uncle that's on the street with the kids at night, because people speed, right? People are really,
Not on your street, they don't.
Well,
anymore.
I can only give the stink eye for so long, and then they don't pay attention anymore. Yeah. But if I could say this.
Yeah.
I think because we knew a time before the internet, we knew abundance. We had real childhoods, right?
Yeah.
That's why we're fighting so hard to keep our kids outside, on the land, right? In culture.
Yeah.
Hey, keep them busy, keep them outside. Keep them busy, keep them outside.
Keep them busy.
You're only going to be 11 once. Video games, they're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
But right now, you're only going to be this age once. Our job is to protect you, right? And get you where you need to go, right?
I want to end on a kind of a positive note, I hope,
Sure.
is that you hear a lot about the Indigenous Renaissance in the arts. Would you say that's a thing?
Oh, hands down. Look at all the good that's happening. And I think because, my mom went to residential school. She was stolen when she was 5. She went to 2 different residential schools. She was one of the 160,000 children that were stolen right across this land. Her number was 12. And so I think that my generation, the 53-year-olds, we're what I call the bridge generation. We're working so hard. Look at Rosanna Deerchild. Look at how hard she's working, right? To reclaim the language, the culture, the names, the songs, the lullabies, the recipes, right? Digitizing old photos. We're all working so hard to reclaim and bring light to this darkness that we're in. It will pass. It's going to take many generations to get out of this. And I've always said that residential schools will always be the sorrow in Canada's bones. And we see the fallout in Moose Jaw, Yellowknife, Fort Smith, Regina.
Fernie.
Yeah, it's everywhere, right? And so when you talk to Indigenous people who are experiencing homelessness, I guarantee they were either part of the 60s scoop, residential schools. That was the machine. That was its purpose. But it's the second generation that's really working hard, right? And it's like my baby is a 3rd generation residential school survivor. So they're being raised in culture, raised in beauty. And that's why when you look across Canada, all the bestseller lists, look at how many Indigenous.
Oh, yeah. Packed.
Yeah, so it's really our time to tell our stories our own way.
Yep. Well, thank you for telling your story.
My pleasure.
your way.
Oh, Masacho. Thank you. Okay, everybody. Give me 1 minute. I want to just honor Angie Abdou because Angie Abdou has written one of the most important memoirs of our time. When I read On Thin Ice, True Confessions of a Reluctant Hockey Mom, I felt so privileged to be able to read a diary of a mother, of a wife, of a sister, of a daughter who was pulled into hockey culture. And I double dog rib dare all of you, read this book because you're sitting in the presence of a master memoir writer.
I told you he was nice.
Well, and I'm really excited that you just finished a novel and you'll be hearing from your agent tomorrow.
I forgot who this session is about. Yes, thank you. I also want to tell you, we didn't have time for audience questions today because Richard has a full session on the schedule, so make sure you check that out. And
Tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Thank you all so much.
All right,
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.